Hi everyone, my name is Craig Phillips. This is a departure from my normal YouTube videos that don't really show me, and they're focused more on a repair I'm making on my 1997 Tacoma. Giving you a little more background about me. I'm originally grew up in Arkansas, and I moved to Alabama about 5 years ago, so I'm in Birmingham right now. But all my videos have been on my 1997 Tacoma, which I bought in 2001, so I've had it for a long time. I think I was 17 years old when I bought it. So recently I had a video talking about or showing a leak down test, and I believe it showed the issue. One of the major issues that came out of that leak down test was that I had a blown head gasket, or most likely a blown head gasket in the number one cylinder. There were other issues that leak down test showed, which I was suspicious about or thought was an issue, and one of them was blow by in the number 4 cylinder, and then that leak down test showed some issues with the intake and or exhaust valves in the number 2 or 3 cylinders. So what I've decided to do is pull the engine out of my 1997 Tacoma and send it off to Yoda One Performance in California. I looked at or asked around about some local shops here in the Birmingham area, and I just didn't get any good feedback or good reports about how much they knew about Toyota engines, and specifically this 3RZ engine. So I made the choice to embark on this endeavor. Now, this will probably be the largest mechanical job I've ever undertaken before, and I wanted to take this opportunity hopefully and share some of the experiences from this project, because that's one of the things I always take away from doing any project is lessons learned and what I would do better or could do better the next time around. So if you guys have anything you want me to focus on, just leave it in the comments, and I will try to spend a little more time going over a certain part of the removal of the engine. But I'll just do my best. I'm not by any means, of course, a professional YouTuber and don't have any video editing software as of right now. So I'm just doing this more to document a huge moment really in the life of my truck and for myself as taking on a large task as this. So I've got December 9th right now, and I've got till the end of January is when they want me to send my engine back.
So yeah, talking a little bit more about getting the engine shipped over to California to Yoda One Performance. They've been pretty cool so far, so I called them up and told them I wanted to take my engine out, and I want to send it off to them, and I want my original engine back. It's just important to me that I have the same block and head. Hopefully nothing's wrong with it, that we can keep the same block and head, but to get the original block and head back. One thing, and what you're seeing right here is they gave me some instructions for building this part right here to create an engine cradle, and you just there's some instructions for this. It's fairly simple. It's probably take about 30 minutes to an hour to do, and then you'll need a pallet to affix the cradle to. That you can lift it up. You got to screw down to that. So once we get the engine out, we'll be setting it on here, and then we'll be arranging a pickup of the engine. So that's that part. So as promised, here's the directions in the service manual. Basically, so far I've gotten steps 1, which was already done, or always, because I've just haven't put that engine cover back on or undercover, and then drain the coolant. Got that completed. Haven't drained the engine oil yet, and I don't think I'm gonna remove the hood unless it starts causing me access issues. Remove the radiator, so we got that done today. And then it says remove dry belt for the generator or alternator, and fan with the fluid coupling and the water pump pulley. So we'll probably start on that tomorrow. But there's basically 11 15 steps here. 16. I think that's it. Yep. 16 total steps. Yep, that's it. So 16 total steps to remove the engine. Sounds a little too easy. One thing they don't talk about here is removing the transmission. So I did find one thing interesting is they do have another hanger that you put on the back here, right there. And so I ordered this part online from a Toyota dealership or online Toyota parts store. Anyway, another thing may do differently. I don't really understand why they remove from the ECU. I was thinking I would just remove all the connectors from the engine and then just hang it somewhere. Was my thoughts, but maybe I'll find out differently. Anyway, that's the directions to remove the engine. Hope this helps you if you don't have this manual. So I haven't done anything yet, and as far as any steps to remove the engine, I think what I'm gonna do is just start off with something simple, which is removing the aftermarket K&N air intake. So I've removed this part from here down to the throttle body many times. So I'm just gonna start off with something easy. I think the manual, service manual says to start by draining the coolant and then by removing the oil. I'll probably do that later, and what I'm going to do is splice in the directions, which it's only like 5 or 6 pages, but they kind of skimp over some of the more detailed parts, or actually refer to other sections. But I will take a video of that, or find a way to post some links to some photos so everyone has that if they need that information, if they're trying to do the same thing. But I kind of got an idea, obviously what's going to come out here. They want me to strip this down fairly bare bones. So, yeah, so all this intake over here, intake plenum will be off. And of course the exhaust is going to be off. All the pulleys and yeah, pretty much any accessory here. So, I'll have to look at I'll have them send me what all to take off. But anyway, so I'm gonna start on the intake plenum and try to do a time lapse or something, because it'll probably take a good 10 minutes. All right, so step one, we're gonna take this aftermarket air intake box, K&N one. There's 2 bolts here, and I guess it's an American company that supplied 13 millimeter or some other not normal Toyota bolt. So funny thing is, first step, I've got a problem because I only brought the normal size Toyota head bolts, which would be 8, 10, 12, 14, 17, 19. So what I'm gonna do here is just take these pliers and give it a go and see if I can get this off, because this is not any specialty bolt. So, and for most of you, this is not really valuable if you want step by step and what size to use on the factory air intake plenum. So I got some movement there, so that's good. Hopefully this will be the hardest part in the whole job. Yeah, but anyway, it kind of annoys me whenever I don't know, they send hardware with upgrades that aren't the factory size bolts. All right, so there's the first one. Walked away for just a second here to get some magnetic bowls here to put some nuts in. What I'm going to do is put these in a Ziploc bag here later, and yeah, label everything very well, especially as I get into some of the components I'm not familiar with very well. So Yeah, these pliers, not a good choice for taking off bolts. Do not do this. I wouldn't recommend it, especially as you get definitely further into taking stuff off the engine. It's just not a good idea. You strip something out. But these are, like I said, I can easily get more of these, and these are readily accessible. What I might do later on is I might take the tires off the front and drop this thing. I mean, I've got 3 inches of suspension, 33-inch tires, and a 2-inch body lift. So yeah, even though I'm fairly tall, it's difficult to access. I'm gonna take off the mass airflow sensor. Right here, there's just a little clip you can push. Sometimes it helps to kind of push it on a little bit and then off, and then wiggle it off. But anyway, that's one of the easier connectors to get off. So yeah, so that's fairly loose right there. I am going to go get some something to get these little clamps off of it. And again, this is all down to here, not factory. It's about the same difficulty level. This is probably a little easier actually than the factory one. I'm gonna try to take this off all in one piece. I'm probably gonna take it off down here. Let me slide back here and show what I got here. So I think I could take it off. Yeah, I'm looking at this. I think I could take it off here and then take this IAC valve off right here with this clamp. Just take it off and it'll be sitting pretty good. I think I'm gonna go get some more tools. All right, I'm back. So I'm just gonna take a flathead. I forgot, I think my 1/4-inch drive that goes on my DeWalt screw gun or drill, whatever you want to call it, and make this a lot quicker. But this will do. Then one of these needle nose pliers with this tip on like this. I don't know what these are called actually. Makes taking these type clamps off, and I'll show you that clamp real quick. Get this off. So yeah, it's just one of these standard constant tension clamps. Sometimes on a big hose you can't get to it, but yeah, makes it pretty easy. So with that, I think do gotta take a little vacuum hose off right here. And a lot of these vacuum hoses I've replaced recently. Otherwise, you'd probably need a tool to get it off, a little pick tool to get in there, although I'm not having a lot of luck with this. In fact, I'm gonna go get one. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. And then just over here just a little bit. There's a larger one here that goes over to the evaporator canister. Surprised that didn't come right on right there. And what I might do here is just unscrew this off of here. It seated on pretty good, whatever it ended up doing. All right, I have to cut a little bit of that with the knife. I'll put it back on. It should allow me to take this thing out of here now. Move this out of the way and this way. This some throttle cable. And yeah, this thing doesn't have cruise control, so it's not an issue. Honestly, I don't know if this is worth it. Trying to remove this thing all at once, but how nice it is. Less pieces. Yeah, there we have it. That's the air intake, at least for my truck. And I'm gonna go set this down in the back in a box. All right, real quick, I'm gonna disconnect the battery here. Probably should have been the very first step, but I forgot about that. Just, you don't want anything sparking and causing a problem. Especially once we start getting this fuel rail over here, work on it, we'll have a little bit of fuel, and it's nice not to have a battery connected. So yeah, there's just, it's on mine, there's a wing nut here. I'm just gonna, when you can, I just like to screw something back on so you don't lose it. It's on the positive battery side. And here's on the negative. Everything's real nice here because I've got some grease on here that kept things from fouling up. Let's see here what I've got. Gonna have to get those pliers again because I, for some reason, got another bolt right here that's not factory size. Funny story. I think I was in college and I was, mudding in a field, and I didn't have this attached securely, kind of like it is now, and it slid off, hit this vacuum line. I'm just going to show you down here. You can see where this is from like 20 years ago, where I did some JB weld because the battery hit this line and it knocked this off, and it was rubbing against this pulley. You can kind of see this pulley is more rusted than the other. But anyway, yeah, so that's, and then just being cheap back then, I just put on whatever bolt I could find. Tomorrow, well, this should be the last of the bolts that are not size 10, 12, 14. Knock on wood. I'm ready to start using a ratchet and ratcheting wrenches instead of these pliers. Yeah, so it's really just the negative cable, the positive, and then this strap that holds it in. Okay, so it's out now. Let's pull this puppy out, and I'm just gonna go set it aside. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna start next by removing the radiator. And the first step would be to drain it. There's a little petcock over here. You just twist it counterclockwise, and that will allow you to drain the fluid out of it. Wish I had brought a 5-gallon bucket. This is gonna take a while like this. But anyway, you get all that out. While that does its thing, talk a little bit about just some signs I think I've noticed the last few years, really. Just some build up here. See this? It looks like iron deposits. Where do I think that came from? This is, again, probably 20 years ago, somewhere around that time. I was driving through this ditch and I hit the front
skid plate, which is gone. Never put it back on, and it jammed up into the radiator, and which the radiator hit the fan and put a hole in the radiator bay. So that was the first radiator gone. I think I got one from AutoZone, replaced it, and then that AutoZone radiator, maybe I'm gonna say 10 years later, it sprung a leak, and everything. I remember everything went crazy on the dashboard because I think all the steam coming out hit some electrical components and whatnot. And anyway, yeah, so I put an O'Reilly's one in, and that's what's in there right now. Anyway, so it's probably slightly different from a bone stock radiator. You notice like some hoses right here. That's a transmission cooler. I put it on after I was towing a trailer, and it got hot. It's just a generic one, so I've got to get that thing off too. That's not a normal component that's on there. I think there's just some zip tie type things that hold it on here, literally though, but this should be something fairly easy to remove. I probably won't take a video of it because normally you would not have that.
All right, so we're working on taking the radiator off here. And what I've got here, now it's hard to see, is I've got some drop brackets here. And I think, I'm not sure if these are factory bolts, but they're 10 millimeter finally. These are not, but there's 4 of them that hold what's the fan shroud on for the radiator. So I'm gonna get it out of the way first. But there's one further down, and then there's one on each side at the top. So that's basically that, and then there's this hose going to the evaporator canister, by the way, which just slides off here. And then also you got the overflow for the coolant here. There's a little clip you pull back or squeeze and pull back here, and then from there it just slides off. That's that. So yeah. And then the other thing here is, there's one on bottom, but I'm only gonna do the one on top for now. Another constant tension clamp here. Do that right there. Yeah. I don't know if I finished my story earlier, but I think that rust is, I think I ran straight water for, no, it wasn't straight water, I just ran tap water. I don't know if I ran it for days or months, whatever, before I learned I should have put distilled water in there, but I think that's what caused and started getting to that cast iron block and just introduced some rust. Hopefully nothing, no long-term damage. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish taking this fan shroud off, and then we'll go to the next step. So yeah, we got these 4 bolts off here on the fan shroud, these 2 hoses, and this large hose here. And there's a bottom piece. I'll show you where it was at. You gotta take off 2. There's some clips. This slides out, but there's a bottom piece that clips in here. There's 2 clips that clip here and completes the fan shroud. You basically, those are easy. You take them off with your hand. That'll allow you to take this thing out. Yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna take this upper radiator hose off next. There's some stuff in my way here. So it's got the constant tension clamp. I've already pulled it off, but needle nose backing that off. What I'm gonna do is take off these ignition coil packs, or at least a plug to them. I said earlier, if you push forward a little bit and then back off, sometimes you'll have a little better luck. I'm gonna go ahead and undo this temperature sensor. I wish I knew what that was underneath, or how to get to it. No problem, guys, it's starting to get dark. We need lights out here to be able to
It's gonna give me enough to get this off though. I'll say that. There we go. That'd be a good time to replace that thing. You can see all that rust down in there. So yeah, so the upper radiator hose is off. Yeah, there's just a lot of rust down in there. Anyway, yeah, the next step is going to be one of the tougher ones. I've got this cooler on here, and so what we have here is this line right here. It's kind of on bottom. That's hot fluid. I have an automatic transmission, a 340F, coming from there, and follow it down here. Make sure I had the right one. Goes up into that transmission cooler right there, and it comes back out on the other side here. Comes back down. Goes into the radiator, and I think this heat exchanger heats in the winter, but it cools it in the summer, as I understand it. I know there's some issues, especially with like Nissan Frontiers, Xteras, where this breaks, the coolant gets into the transmission fluid, or vice versa. But anyway, I've always kept mine intact. I think it's good for warming up the transmission quicker. But anyway, that cooler keeps it cooler. But I've got to take this hose off, and I got to take two hoses off up here. I've got these aftermarket cheap clamps, but these are going to be a booger. I remember putting them on, and I'm not looking forward to putting them back on after taking them off. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to do those two, and then cut back to getting the radiator out of here. So yeah, still don't have all the transmission hoses off, but decided to take this fix I had put in here, which is just a piece of angle iron. Decided to take it off so I could get better access, because I think the factory hoses, or the ones not back here, the ones attached to the radiator, much easier to take off. And instead of taking the one off back a ways, I'm just going to take the one off of this aftermarket cooler instead, and then it'll be on to the 4 radiator bolts finally. Yeah, so the only downside to this one is I just thought of is I'm going to be prying a little bit on the radiator. So, but anyway, I'm going to try to take it off. I'm going to just turn the video off while I do that and see if that works to get the transmission cooler disconnected from the transmission. So things look drastically different now, and all I really did is I took off the front face or grill, and the reason I did that is so I could get access. There's 4 bolts here that hold on the radiator. That's the other side's going to be basically the same. That's 2, and then over here on the right side, or driver's side, and then right there. So I need to get better, just easier access. So I took this off, which wasn't all that easy. There's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clips. Also, you have to take these side marker lights off with a Phillips screwdriver. Yeah, and there's just a bunch of clips that sit in here. Mine are, I've had to take this off before, but there's example of one. And you can push down on here, and hopefully it releases. You'll probably break some. My grill is original, and there's not a lot left into it. But yeah, most of these are still here for the most part. This one must have came off in the grill. Well, I'll have to replace it. But anyway, and also wanted to say this taking this off worked and was much easier. Although pulling on that, I didn't like that because it's only strapped on with plastic straps to the radiator. But it's just a radiator. Could be an easy fix. All right, I'm gonna get started here on unscrewing these 4 bolts and taking the radiator off. All right, so we've pretty much got everything off here and ready to pull this radiator except for 2 bolts up here. So I'm just gonna take my hand, kind of prop it up. I pretty much got these bolts loose. You can see it's getting dark, so it's gonna be the last step we'll do today. There's one, and here's the other one. It's being a little stubborn, so I think I'm gonna. Comes right on out of here. There it is out of the vehicle. Yeah, see the transmission cooler mounted on it. So I'm gonna leave that right there. And that's just going to conclude our work for today. Trying to think if there's anything else I was going to mention. We'll be back at it tomorrow.